Good Erev Shabbos, dear KAJ. What a week it has been. It has not been an easy week for any of us. And therefore, my message to you today is going to be a little bit longer. You might want to watch this in parts. It will be a little bit more meaty. I am going to share some real Torah with you. And the first part of it will be quite tough or maybe difficult to hear, but it will not only end on an upward positive note, but it is something that should give us immense strength and optimism for the future, even as things are dark. Let's look back at the week. First of all, the uptick in attendance at davening and the power of our tefillos and tehillim has been truly heartwarming, and I'm so proud of that. There is more work to be done, of course. And the spectacle, the particular challenge that we had this week of not only the idea of a shul in Berlin being fire being set against it, which brings back so many horrible themes, something we thought never again, but our dear shul, the yeshiva, as it is still so fondly called by so many, our kehillah, where so much Torah and tefillah and tzedakah and chesed and so many amazing things take place, where our kids learn to enjoy and love their Judaism and learn Torah, and we celebrate Yiddishkeit together. And the idea of that being attacked is one that is incredibly painful. And we hope and we daven that in Yirtzeh Hashem we will continue to be safe. But let's turn our attention now to some real Torah. And I'm going to include some of the ideas I said in last week's special address, drasha, but I'm going to take it further. And the first point that needs to be made is the following. Reb Elchanan Wasserman, Hashem Yinkom Damai, the great Rosh Hashiva Baranovich, who himself was brutally murdered by the Nazis in Machshemam with his yeshiva, was a channel, a conduit of Torah and Hashkafa of his wonderful saintly Rebbe, the Chafetz Chaim, Zecher Tzadik V'Kodesh Livrocha. And in his collection of essays, he makes the following point, which is not often appreciated, and I think in this particular situation is absolutely key and critical to have a correct Torah approach to the whole situation. And it is as follows. We are all conscious, we all know the idea of Tzadik v'ra loy, Rasha v'tov loy. The age-old question of how we equate, how do we put together the idea we know Hashem loves us. We know also that He is all-powerful. He can do anything that He wants. And we know that He sees everything and He is in charge. How then can we put all of these things together in our mind and in our hearts when we see the innocent suffering? And this is especially true when we have witnessed the horrors that we have witnessed in the last few weeks. How can the innocent suffer, and why is it that the wicked seem sometimes to do very, very well? And Moshe Rabbeinu himself asks this of the Ribbono Shel Olam, and it is, broadly speaking, it is understood that this is not something that at this stage of history we are able to understand. There will come a time and a place where we will look back and we will see how everything was with a plan. We do not possess all of the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle to be able to put it all together. The time will come. And this essentially, by the way, is the central theme of the Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbos. B'froyach Rishoyim K'mo Yosef, David HaMelech says, we see the wicked who are flourishing, they're prospering, they are doing well. And the reason is Lehishom Dom Adeyad. In the final analysis, ultimately the time will come when wickedness and evil people will be obliterated. They will be destroyed. Va'ato maroim la'olam Hashem. But we're not there yet. And therefore we have questions, and these are legitimate questions, and we have emunah, and we have bitachon, and maybe it's worthwhile just reminding ourselves that every bullet has an address. Nobody and nothing can harm us if the Ribbono Shel Olam does not want it to happen, doesn't allow it to happen. Of course, we must do everything that we possibly can. Follow all the Sicherheit Maßnahmen, all the instructions of the security, and be sensible and not to provoke those that hate us. They're not so many kilometers away from us. But when all of that is said and done, a Jew needs to be calm and know that the Ribbono Shel Olam runs the world. Chayenu hamasurim biyodecha, our lives are in your hand, and we spoke about that last week, and that remains, of course, true. But, says Rabbi Chanan, the concept and the mystery, the challenge, which is how we understand the wicked doing well and the innocent suffering, is only a valid question insofar as the relationship between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and me as an individual, as a yochid, in my personal life, that is a challenge. Das ist eine große Herausforderung. And that is something we need to deal with and grapple and wrestle and fight with as we go through life. But there is something very, very different, and that is Hashem's relationship with Am Yisrael, the Tzibur. That is totally different. And there, Rabbi Chanan demonstrates, and if you stop and think about it, it's one of these ideas that once you learn it, and I learned it as a yeshiva bacher, once you learn it, you say, how come I didn't think of that? Well, that's what we need Gedolim for. Think about Kriyas Shema. In the first parasha of Shema, we talk about our obligation to serve Hashem with our heart, with our b'chol lavavcha, v'chol nafshecha, v'chol mo'idecha, as an individual. And in the second paragraph, we talk about us serving Hashem as a nation. B'chol lavavchem, v'chol nafshechem, in the plural. And there, a new element is introduced. If we serve Hashem as a nation, as a tzibur, as a collective, together, then the rains fall and the crops will grow. But hishomeru lochem pen yiftel vavchem. However, says Hashem, be careful. Make sure that your hearts don't take you after other idols. And we'll talk about that in a minute. Because then v'choro af Hashem bochem. Hashem will be annoyed with you, oish, plural. And bad things will happen. And if you look through the Torah, you see this again and again and again. If you follow my laws, says Hashem, then v'nosati gishmeichem be'itom, then the rains will fall. Hashem relates to us as a nation in a way that is transparent, that is to be understood. He wants the relationship between him and us as a nation, as a tzibur, to have no mystery. There are no mysteries. That doesn't mean there aren't questions. We had a Holocaust, we've had pogrom, we've had one thing we can say is Hashem was not pleased with us. That we not only can say, but we actually must say. And not to do so is absolutely wrong. Let me put this into some proper context. Says the Rambam at the beginning of Hilchos Tanis, that any tzorah, any difficult time that is visited upon a tzibur, mitzvahs asay min haTorah. There is a mitzvah min haTorah, a biblical commandment, lizoik ulahoria. To blow chatzotzros, we'll leave that bit aside, but lizoik, to shout, to cry out. It's a form of tefillah, but it is an unusual form of tefillah. It is what we did in Mitzrayim, vanitzak. Lizoik, to cry out, not to be silent, to recognize this is something that is being visited on the tzibur, and as part of the tzibur, to feel that pain and to cry out. The Rambam then goes on to say, V'dovo zeh midarkei haTeshuvah hi. This is an integral part of Teshuvah. And this is my second point that I wish to stress. And I think with all the wonderful things, the good viral videos that are going round of the challah baking and the tzitzis for the soldiers and all these things, which are, by the way, absolutely unbelievably heartwarming and special. And of course, are necessary. The achdus of Klal Yisrael is that which will bring us back together, but there's another component to it. And I feel that this is sometimes, it isn't really being stressed. Let's face it. We've just had Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippurim. I don't know, I'm a bit, I'm done. I did my Teshuvah. No, we didn't. No, we did not. We as a nation did not. This is very clear. The very first opportunity, Simchas Torah, Shmini Atzeres, is the day when the Geshem comes down, which is what that represents. What it means is the Shefa, what Hashem has in store for us for this new year. And we saw what came down. And this, therefore, the first thing that needs to be said is there is to be no mysteries with Hashem's dealing with the nation. He is very, very clearly signaling there is a special, horrible level of din and scrutiny upon us as a nation. And let us make no mistake, this has nothing to do with Israel as in the state or even the land to some extent. This is about being Jewish. This is on Am Yisrael. Of course, it manifested on Israel. And it goes without saying that we daven and we do everything for the well-being of the soldiers, and Hashem shall give them tremendous hatzlacha. That goes without saying. But we need to realize that one doesn't even want to say behemoths, animals, because animals are pure. These creatures, these barbaric butchers who came and did the horrible things that they did it because their victims were not because they were Israeli. It's because they were Jewish. That land outside Gaza is not disputed territory. It's not subject to UN Resolution 242. It is sovereign Israeli territory given to it by the United Nations in 1947. This has nothing to do with politics or however they clothe it. And they say so. It's about killing Jews. And if you are a Jew, then this is a tzara. This is your tzara. And we need to, first of all, recognize and realize this is something on the tzibur. This is something, a tzara for all of Klal Yisrael. And it's not meant to be mysterious. It is meant to be a wake-up call for Teshuvah. That is the first point. Teshuvah, yes, davening, yes, tehillim, yes, but Teshuvah, to return to Hashem. Now, what does that mean? Let's take this a little bit further. Maybe I'll stop this video now and send it out as it is. So, and then to do a part 2, which will be the upbeat bit. So don't just watch part 1.